activated. Your weekly football fix kicks off now.
You can follow the LFC Total Red Football Podcast on X, Facebook, YouTube and TikTok.
Good evening and welcome to the LFC Total Red Football Podcast with myself, Kings. And joining me tonight is Kev. How are you doing, mate? You okay?
Not bad, mate. Just a shame that the festive period goes as quickly as what it does. So, now back in work, fun and games, so all good. How about yourself?
Yeah, really good, thank you. It's a really good time over Christmas and want to wish everybody a happy new year as well for 2026. Hope everything goes well for everybody, including, I hope it goes well for LFC. Liverpool FC obviously up and down this season, Kev, and in a way it didn't really disappoint or change at all over the Christmas period because obviously we beat Spurs away just before Christmas, beat Wolves 2-1 at home, but then 2026, obviously not a good start. 2 draws, first one at home to Leeds, and the second one, obviously, 2-2 draw with a killer worldy goal right at the end to knock the stuffing out the Reds. So just go back, just looking quickly over the Christmas period, 2 wins, both 2-1. At least put us in a decent spirits, I suppose, didn't it?
That's probably the best you could ask for. We don't make life easy for ourselves of recent, and as soon as we have to have a 2-goal lead or do something like that, because that's the way, that's our mentality is, and then we have issues with dealing with set pieces, and lo and behold, the 2 goals we conceded against Brighton and against Wolves both come from set piece routines, which is frustrating and annoying. And fortunate to see the game out the way it looked, the way it panned out. Do you know what I mean? And especially the Brighton game, you're 2-0 up and you cruise, and then you give away a silly corner that wasn't necessary, and then we put ourselves on the back foot for the last 15 minutes of a game. So, but it's the same old that we're seeing at the moment, and that's reflected in the spirits in the crowd as well. The atmosphere is meeting the same as what we're seeing on the pitch. So, yeah, not the best.
I was going to say, obviously, as a regular attendee at Anfield, you get to soak up the good or the bad atmosphere. So you feel there's a big shift in the stadium during games? Are people fed up with how it's going?
You're not hearing slot out or anything like that, but it is a little bit lackluster at the minute, and there's not enough that makes you feel that end-to-end football, the attacking football, the pressing that we had, which we've seen over the years, is brilliant to watch, and it's on the edge of the seat. You're not seeing that. It's not reflected, especially this season. There's frailties, there's individual errors, there's frustration within the ground with certain passes not being made, because you're seeing runs that perfectly through the lines can be made and should be made, and we're going for the easy ball every time, and we're going for the safe option rather than the gamble, and that is getting a little bit. And we look as though if you didn't know what the score was, you'd think Liverpool were winning 4-0 in every game, because we are that we're that slow. We're playing everything in front of teams. We're allowing teams to get back into their block, into the system. So there's a frustration that the game should be a little bit quicker. That said, there's nothing there for the fans to get behind to even start shouting about or create atmosphere, because it's not reflected in the play that we're seeing, and it goes in line and everything's aligned with that. And sadly, at the minute, it's reflected on the pitch as what we're seeing off the pitch. So, it's sad in a way how it's gone, but it's been like that for, I'll be honest, even near the end of Klopp, it was starting to feel a little bit like this as well. So, because you had the Trent issue as well that was going on, which doesn't help. So there's been always, there seems to be something not right at the minute, and I can't put my foot on or a handle on it as to what that is, but it is there, and it is noticeable if you're watching games as well, because there's not really much going on in the game. There's no intensity. That intensity is just diluted away, and there's not much there for fans to be getting behind. The few songs have started, and you'll sing along, but they're very few and far between at the minute. And as I say, there's always a hesitancy when we do go 2 goals up, because there's a frailty there still with the club.
There is.
So, and then with that becomes hanging on. So that support should be there. Is kind of just too. That's how I see it. I don't know how it comes across when you're watching on the TV, like, but
yeah, the thing is that the 2 victories, gives you a bit of heart, thinking, right, okay, we turned a corner. And I mean, unbeaten in 9, and you think, but when you look at the finer details, there's draws in there that, like you said, the intensity's not there. It's not the Liverpool we've seen for the last few years. Now, if this was Slot's first season and he'd made a few changes and got some players in, I think a lot more fans would be like, right, it's a bit of a transition. He's going to tweak it. He's going to do this, that, the other, etc. He won the league last year, and yet they seem so much worse this year. And yes, they have invested a lot. And I think he's come out and been quoted as saying, we knew it could be that you hit the ground running with all the players and you're lucky, or it could take time to join up the dots, I suppose, to get everybody playing the way he wants. But it's almost like sometimes he has not really a clue of his best formation, does he?
I've said this all along, and I put it in our group. If you were to ask him now our fittest 11, and even the supporters, I don't think anyone can give you a formation or a starting 11 that everyone would agree with. There'll be certain positions that everyone would have, but it's hard to put down on paper and also a style of play that this team would suit because how lopsided it seems to be. We seem to be, although we're not, we seem to be lopsided with defensive players, but we're still short in that area. And we have more offensive players. There's not many defensive players within the team that you could rely on. There's players that are not playing to the level that we're used to. And there's a combination of everything that's going on. I've always said that the Jota thing has been a significant reason and a major factor that none of us will ever experience or know how bad it is. But imagine seeing that on a regular basis and not being able to actually grieve properly for someone who meant so much to so many people within that, and the amount of time that you do spend with that individual. So these haven't been allowed to grieve, and it's come straight away. That said, it's not like the AFCONs come out of nowhere. We know what was happening. We know that it's going to take time, but I don't see anything in the performances that say that he is actually making any difference to what he's doing. I don't see. I see someone who's going reserve and trying to be more reserved when it needs someone to be a little bit more of a gambler and trying to change things and freshen things up. We haven't seen that. He's gone into as though like we're a small club, which it's all about the results. It's never about the results. It's about the performance. It's about everything. And at the minute, we're not seeing that at all. And if you look at the games against Leeds, in 2 games that we should have won, there's 4 points that we should have had. Then add in the other game where the other draw that we've had against Fulham, there's 6 points. And already you're on 40 points for the season. And it looks a hell of a lot better than what it would do now.
Yeah.
And even if you would have won the 2 games against Leeds, the game against Fulham, you'd actually go, all right, then yes, sound. But we're not seeing that. This isn't just happening away. It's also happening in our home. And what used to be a fortress, I went 4 or 5 seasons, or from 2016 till I think, even if you include the COVID, I've gone like 4 or 5 seasons where I haven't seen Liverpool lose a home game in the league, or maybe longer. I don't know what the record is. We're not seeing that at all. We have there's no disparity. This is happening not only at home but also away, and there's no action. And I'm not seeing any indifference in what he's trying to do. That is trying to negate any of the issues that we have. We still have players playing as though they're schoolboys, and everyone's running towards the ball. We have at times we've had 2, 3, 4 players running for the same ball, and you think, oh wait, there, what are we doing? We're playing. We're trying to trick teams out and play traps when they've gone man-to-man marking. Why are we trying to set traps up? And why all of a sudden we've got a defender that is an absolute donkey at the back that is just is requesting that he wants 350 grand a week? We have a lot of issues within this team that could be negated. We have players that are playing within themselves because they're not confident we're playing the ball forward. We have a tendency to play the ball backwards than playing the ball forwards. We don't play through the channels like we used to. We don't counter-attack from corners like we used to. So there's a lot of issues. And the only thing as I've said, if you look at what's changed, well, he'll probably say nothing, new players come in. But he changed the first team coach. And that first team coach hasn't done anything. Van Bronckhorst came in, and I thought he would do what he'd done at Rangers and made Tavernier into an attacking wing back who scored and assisted, and which replicates the way he played as a player. And I thought he would do that with Kirkes and with Bradley. Now that Trent has gone, that hasn't happened. And I'd like to know when we're in this moment where we're losing games, what is he actually saying to Arne on the sideline that's making a significant difference to what he was getting the year before, which was under Heitinger? Now, I understand Heitinger wants to be a manager. I get that. But I would be looking at going, right, there has to be casualties, because if there's no casualties, I'm up. It'll be me that's next up. He's got rid of the set piece coach, which I don't know what he was doing. He could have given it to me. I probably would have done a better job. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's ridiculous. So we have that. You'd think that these long throw-ins is a new thing, and it's only just come in. How did we cope in the years previous to long throws and set piece teams? It's mad, isn't it? And then you add into the fact that you've got so. Get rid of Bronckhorst. Look as though you're being reactive. Look as though you're actually trying to sort things out, because the games alone won't keep you in the job. It's the performances and how you are adapting to what has been given to you. It's not like we've got a Dwight McNeil, a Grealish who's at the end of his career. You've got quality young players that are striving to be playing in a team and a formation that will get the best out of them. And that means not playing our best midfielder at right back at times. That means stop trying to stopgap players in certain positions. We've always left ourselves short, and that's not because we didn't factor in. It's because we wanted to. And if we get things right, Gooey was signed. And we would have been, I'm not saying we would be defensively better, but we would have more cover because we lose the only straight early on. So
I'd go as far as to say, yes, I think we would have been a lot stronger, to be honest. Well, because I think Konate has been so poor this season.
But I don't know whether it would have given a kick up the backside like it did when he came on a half time against Ipswich in the first game of last season, in which we then go on and beat Ipswich 2-0. So it's all ifs and buts, and I don't believe in dealing with what could have happened. But it may have been a little bit better. Maybe we don't get that injury. Maybe we have a stronger defensive team, but we lack a formation that gets us aggressively forward, and we end up scoring more goals from set pieces. Who knows? But we will never know, because we were never given that option. And now we're in a. And now
I think part of it, Kev, is we're unlucky, very unlucky having Leone, obviously, have his ACL. He's a young player. He wasn't going to start every game, but I think with the indifference of Konate, he probably would have been eased in a lot more because there's high expectation for him. So we felt very unlucky there. I'm not making excuses. It happens in football. It just happened to be right at the beginning of his Liverpool career. We didn't get Mark yet, and it's just ridiculous. If the reports are they were £5 million short and arguing over it, or if it was Palace that pulled the plug, ultimately, I'm not sure. For other reasons with Glasner. But as you say, it's been intentional. They've left themselves short there, and it's now kicking them in the ass, to be honest, isn't it?
Well, it gets to the point now as we now have a donkey playing at centre half.
Yeah.
And we should have had someone lined on to come in on the 1st of January, to be honest.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened. So, again, we're leaving ourselves short. Like, we left ourselves short when Fabinho left. We still haven't replaced Fabinho. We're still playing with the false number 6, and we're still looking for the DM.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And we've left ourselves short up front as well. So, I know everyone going, oh, we should have kept all the Diaz, but the chances and opportunities he's been getting at buying, Diaz is, as if he's brutally honest, that's basically the same kind of chances at Liverpool, but never took them. And that was my always frustration with him, is that he didn't score as many goals as what he should do because of the player he is. He's now playing at a level and in a league that is not as aggressive and 100 miles an hour as what the Premier League is, and he's shown how good he is. But that's with hindsight, do you know what I mean? But you know, it's there's a lot of issues within the club, and there's a lot of things that I blame not only Sloth for, but I also blame the people above him for, because we're in a position and a predicament where we shouldn't really have been in. We're short in midfield, we're short in defence, and we're also short up front as well, because I think we've forced Isak to come back and forced him to play. I'm not saying that's forced him to have a broken foot, but injuries were always going to happen with a player that hasn't had a pre-season, and we've forced into games to try and get him up to speed.
Yeah, it is unfortunate again that that's happened to him, but I mean, Slot did say ultimately he was going to try and ease him in gradually, and then he's got to the point where he starts to play him a little bit more. This has happened. It's like, I do wonder if the players like Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, even Frimpong, you know, he's had his injury problems since he come in, and there's the issues with Salah. But I'm wondering if the players are looking at it going, right, it's all at the manager's door, or is it partly, you know, some of them are adjusting to this league, because it is a lot different to where they've come from. Is it a mixture of it all? Do you know what I mean? What can you pinpoint what it is? Maybe that, you know, are they not performing to what they should? Is he obviously letting Heitinga go because he wanted to manage and bringing someone else in? It's not working there. Is it a combination, or is it one particular thing? Do you think?
I think it's a combination of factors. It's a combination of a manager who's cold, who has a Dutch mentality, who will say what he says brutally to players. Some players won't like that. You got players who are playing out of position. You got players who are coming into a new league. You've got no formation change, or the formation changes that are made is putting good players and quality players out of their natural position. You've got players underperforming, injuries, a bereavement within the club just before the start of the season. So there's a number of factors, and enough that Slot would say, well, I have enough excuses, but they're not excuses. They unfortunately come with the territory of playing in the game, apart from one, which is the Jota bereavement.
Yeah.
Everything else is part of the game. We go into Thursday. I'm not cursing or, they're playing. This is what I call about luck. If I was Arsenal, this is the luck I talk about, of catching a team out of form, a team that are not playing well and underperforming, and a team that has injuries. That's when you want to play. Arsenal do not want to play Liverpool, a strong Liverpool team. They're quite happy and content to play us. Likewise, I would be the same if I'm playing Man City or Arsenal. That's when you need to be playing these teams. And look, that's the look I conjure up. We were fortunate with certain injuries last season, and it didn't affect us because the league wasn't that strong. This year is different. We have a new dynamic. We look great in pre-season, apart from defensively. And all of a sudden, that's diluted into a team that's got lack of confidence and has lost its identity along the way. We press half-heartedly. We press with one or two players, which then leaves big gaps between our forward line and our midfield, which then creates space, which then allows other teams to counter. There's a lot of issues that we've got, and this could be negated if we go back to the fundamentals of football, which is doing the basics right, and we don't even do that right at times.
Yeah. Do you think, looking at the current league table, we're only just past halfway, obviously, so I'm not going to say, it's definitely this going to happen or that going to happen, but, it would be a disaster if they don't make Champions League qualification as a minimum, because that brings in so much money and attracts players in to the club. But you got Chelsea just behind, just obviously dismissed their manager, so they might get a new manager bounce. The team just below them, obviously from up the road, Man United, done the same. They got rid of their manager. They're going to hope, well, if reported to be believed, they're going to bring in a temporary manager till the end of the season. But that could boost them. It might not help them at all. We don't know. They're not that far ahead. They're only 3 points ahead or something like that, and they're nowhere near Man City and Arsenal's kind of level up there. So Liverpool are kind of floating in the middle. Do you think, looking ahead with a crystal ball, do you think they can make Champions League qualification?
We should. On paper, with the players that we've got. We can't keep going and playing the way we have been for the whole of the season. At some point, something has to change. I don't think it'll change quickly enough for Thursday, but I can't see a position where we finish less than 5th this season, and I think top 5 will get it. We'll get you Champions League. I think we're more suited to a cup run, because our consistency is not there at the minute. So Champions League could be a viable option. I know that sounds mad, in the fact when you look at the way we are in the league.
Yeah.
But it's similar to, and I'm not saying similar to, but it mirrors what PSG had done. They weren't that good. They were second in the league. I know they go on and win the league and win the European Cup, but they weren't good, and they ended up 15th and ended up playing us, and then end up going on and winning it because it suited. It played into the way they play. Yeah. I can see Liverpool doing something similar. And I hope I'm right. I may be wrong now because obviously injuries to Isaac and other players has stopped that, but prevented us from doing this. But for me, we're going to qualify. We're at least through to the next round. We could actually do better than what we did last season, and this season, you know, madly to say, we are looking for a top 4 finish.
Yeah.
But we should get it.
So there's a few reports out there. You know, obviously the fans are not happy now. Whether, like I said, whether you see that at Anfield on a match day or whether you just see it on social media, that remains to be seen. But you know, there's chat out there. You know, the fans are not going to put up with this type of dire football for the rest of the season. So, is there a chance that they're going to turn on Slot if it doesn't improve? If he stays in and around this area of the league, will they kind of like, well, okay, we've got to a certain point, we'll just see how next season goes? Or do you think they might turn on him too much?
I can't speak for everyone. I can speak for myself. For me, I want him to get out of this. I really, honestly want him to try and find a way of not only getting results, but also getting a performance and finding the formation that works best for this team and doesn't put people in square pegs in a round hole. I want him to find a way of doing that. He has till the summer to do that. And I think he will get to the end to summer. And then we have to look on reflection and decide whether we continue or we don't. I hope he finds a way. I really do. I hope he can. But he's not helping himself in the way we're playing. The lack of performance, the lack of intensity, the lack of identity, the lack of energy.
Yeah,
it saps everyone out. It feels as though it's a Sunday half-2 game against the boring dice side. It just feels like that every game, and it's coming a little bit. You could say it's a little bit of a chore at the minute to try and watch a full 90 minutes, because it doesn't fill you with any kind of joy, and you can go 30, 40, even a full half a game before you see a shot on target. It's not pleasant to watch, and even when I've watched it on telly, it's not that good to watch. There's times where we're not even doing what we normally do. Our press is absolutely terrible at times, and it's woeful. It's half-hearted. It's a few people that go, oh, well, and then looking behind because they're nervous, because they don't trust that the person behind us doing their bit, and they're normally right. And then next minute they're getting out of it with the two quick passes, and you're in our half. And it's coming a common theme. He has to find a way of dealing with this, and if he doesn't, then I'm sorry to say, but the door will be open ajar for him, and with a P45 at the end of the season. But I do hope he can turn it around.
Yeah. So one time of year, January, comes around in the season where things could potentially change for the manager. You know, things can go better, things can go worse. Now, at the moment, Liverpool could potentially make one or two signings, and it could all turn around for the better. A defender, a midfielder, a forward, whichever they decide. Do you think there's any chance of some decent signings coming? If you look at reports, Semenyo that we've mentioned before, looks like it's done and dusted. He's going to City, all bar the medical. Mark A, some reports saying he has a gentleman's agreement. He's coming to Liverpool, might not come till the end of the season, could be anytime soon, or he could be going somewhere else. There's so many rumours in paper talk and social media, you don't know what to believe, as usual. Do you think they're going to look to make any strengthening signings this month?
I don't see it at the minute.
Okay.
I was laughing the other day. I saw Lionel Messi for 6 months. I was just like, what are we doing? It's. I know it's crazy season, but Jesus, I'll be honest. I don't know. I would quite like, and I know it sounds mad, I'd like to take Ivan Toney for 6 months, personally. Okay. For just to cover for the Isaac situation. I know I'm put a forward in there who can score goals and has been in the Premier League. I think that would be that's a viable option for me. 6 months, come and play here, give him a 6-month contract, and then it gets you in the Premier League, get your name touted about, and people will remember you again, and then you can find yourself a club. I wouldn't mind doing something like that, like sadly what we did with the Nauka, and bring him in January. I'll be honest, I definitely wanted the centre half in 100%. Whether that was Gay, whether that was anyone else, I wanted the centre half in because I don't trust what we have at the minute, and we're only one injury away from realistically having probably Nat Phillips getting called back for some strange reason because he's still under contract and having to play for us. You just don't know, do you? Do you know what I mean? So to stop that and negate that, bring someone in. And if it means you've got to pay 20 million now for Gay, I'd rather do that. I'd rather bring someone in who I know who can do a job than not do anything and gamble like we have done this season in certain positions and hope and pray and that we can get through it. So, mate, at the minute, I can't see anything being done unless, but who knows. But if you're asking me, I'd have a centre half in and I'd be looking at someone like an Ivan Toney to come in up front.
The problem is, if you go back to the summer, Liverpool were a vastly different proposition to what they are now for a potential signing. They were like league champions. They're spending 400, 500 million pound. People are like, right, this is it. They're going for it. Now you look at them and you say, do you want to come and sign for Liverpool? And they're just a bit like, I don't know if I do, actually. Do you know what I mean? It's all gone so pear-shaped. So that makes it harder to attract players in. I know ultimately you're still coming to play for Liverpool, but it's not a sweet spot at the moment, is it?
It probably doesn't look like that on paper. But I think if you look at the players that we brought in, I think anyone with a normal IQ will go, well, actually, it's not like you've brought in trash. You've actually brought in a Vert who I'd like to play behind, who can create.
It just needs him to click.
Yeah, exactly, and it will click. It will click, and you're starting to see signs of him doing that. Also with Etekike, who's come in and has been an absolute dream at times. He's been frustration at times. His French mentality kicked in against City, where he gets hit by Diaz and it's raining, it's a Sunday, I don't want to be here, and you can see that in his performance. But that said, it's not like we brought in trash. We brought in decent players who need confidence and need a system that allows them to play and be as free as they need to be, and we'll start seeing a different. It was always bound to happen, but it's not like we've signed rubbish players. Although some would say Kirkes and Frimpong would be part of that, I don't know. But you're looking at what we're trying to do. I think it was always going to be as difficult with Trent out, because you're moving your creativity from right back to somewhere else, which is new and unfamiliar with this team, and that's going to take time to adapt to, because that creativity is now moving to a normal general place, and we're not used to playing in that way, in a sense. So until we find a solution, and again, it comes back to the manager. The manager has to find a solution to all these little issues that we're currently seeing within the squad. But at times, we are seeing glimpses of what the players can do when, on the front foot and played, and they've got a bit of confidence.
Yeah, and just finally, just want to mention Mo Salah. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff talked about him before Christmas. He's gone off to AFCON. He's away for at least another week because they got through yet again. He's doing well out there. So that shows to me that when people were saying, do you know what, maybe his legs have gone, etc. You see some of the runs he's making, some of the goals he's scoring. You think, yes, he's still got it. He's still a top player. So it's just, again, coming full circle to what we started saying about the formation just isn't working. How we get Salah, Ekitike, Isak, there's going to be Gakpo in there, Wirtz, all kind of working together to create a decent forward line is a hard job. I'll give Slot that. I wouldn't like to do it. But it shows me, watching glimpses of Salah still, yes, he may be coming to the end of his career ultimately at Liverpool, but while he's there, he's still actually a top player that you can utilise, and hopefully they can do that second half of the season, do you think?
Yeah. Salah will always prove doubters wrong. He's done it through the whole of his career. The last 2 seasons, how many people said, Salah's not the best? And look how many goals he scored, how many assists he's got. Yeah. He is frustration. He is frustrating to watch because he is greedy. He loves being the centre of attention. He loves to be the one. The fact that this season it's not reflected in that sense to a degree is part of the reason. I think part of where he's been asked to play doesn't help. I think there's a few things that we can do to resolve that. But that's down to the manager to resolve. That's what he gets paid the big bucks for. This is the dream. We look at it. I'd love to have a problem that meant trying to find a solution to Isak, Etekise, Wirtz, and Salah up front, because I would rather have that than having the difficulty added to the pressure of what he's found himself in now, where you're trying to find a way of playing, and because at the minute, we look as though we have no pace. We look as though we haven't had a pre-season. And I think there's some players to a degree haven't, to what I've mentioned. And that is reflected on the pitch. You've got, at some point, that has to change. And we need to change the dynamic if we need to. And that's down to him to find an answer and a solution to that. There'll be many of people with their opinion as to how it can be changed and how you do all that. Some will say that Isak is actually an issue, that we signed him. We should have just got Hugo Ekitike in, and we wouldn't have the problems that we have now.
Yeah, well.
But we are in, and we are. I'd rather have Isak and Etikike down just one of them. I think we have a way of playing. I think we can send fear to opposition with the strike force that we have and the creativity that we've got in the team, which is of abundance. But it's finding a balance that gets us more rigid at the back and more disciplined, but also the freedom and the mindset to play with the creativity and allow players to be confident with the ball in the forward areas, especially in the final third. We do that. I think this team can go. We can get in at least the top three if we start clicking. But it's getting that team to click.
Yeah,
and we just don't have. It seems as though we if it's not one thing, it's another. The problem you got now is that next season you got the World Cup, so the schedule isn't getting easier, which is what I'm trying to reflect. It's getting harder, and these players are finding it hard to find time to rest. So you're gonna see probably bigger squads, just trying to ease the schedule that these players are finding themselves playing. It's ridiculous the amount of football that's getting played between now and the start of next season is just ridiculous. You've got the lads who've been to AFCON, who would then also go and play in the World Cup. So there's not much of a rest for them. There's no respite for them. There's loads of factors, and loads of teams will start feeling the injuries, and it happens. You've got to adapt. You've got to find a way. We have no plan B. Our plan B is to do plan A.
Yeah, and keep plugging away at it. Yeah,
and if plan A and plan B doesn't work, then we'll go with plan A again. That's our plan. And then what we'll then do is at half time, we'll start throwing the kitchen sink at it last season because it worked, and then find out that we've got no defensive players on the pitch and playing a system which has Gravenberg playing centre half and Szoboszlai at right back. Tell me a formation that or a manager that has that style as a plan B. It shouldn't be that dramatic. We should be able to have a plan A and a plan B, a plan C and a plan D, and how to play against low block teams, because we are finding it very, very difficult when you've got 11 players behind that ball and you've got at times a line of 6, then a line of 4. Or a line of 3 and a line of 1. It's ridiculous. And we're not quick enough. We're not quick enough. We're not playing ball through the lines quick enough. We're not seeing passes quick enough. And that means going direct at times, sometimes, because players are making those little channel runs. Do that a few times. It puts them on the back foot as to whether to stand up or to stand back a little bit. Throw a problem. Treat it like a game of chess, if you can, and try and find. But it's football simple. All we've got to do is try and pass it and pass that ball into the net. Sounds easy, doesn't
it? One team that won't put a low block in, I'm almost 100% on, is Arsenal. They play them on Thursday at the Emirates. Is it the Emirates? Yeah, I've got it right. Yeah, I thought it was. Can you see realistically Liverpool getting anything out of that game?
The way we're playing at the moment, yeah, to a degree. But it depends what Arsenal come out. If they come out of the gates flying, we won't have an answer to it. We've got injuries. We've got an issue probably with Etikike. He may not be ready to play. We've probably got a similar team that is going to line up against Fulham. I think we'll have our moments. They won't be big enough. And I think the confidence that's oozing between Arsenal at the minute, they'll be hungry to try and set down. It could be a massacre. It may not be. Yeah. But I'm hoping that we can come away with either a narrow win, but more than likely a draw or a heavy defeat. Seems to be on the cards.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's going to be a draw, but it's Arsenal's cup final because they're playing the league champions at the best time, as you've said, for Arsenal to play Liverpool. So I don't want them to demolish Liverpool on the field, but it could happen.
It could do, but I have no grievance of them playing us at this time because This is what football. This is the look. Everyone talks about luck and go, oh well, it's about it's about when you. No, it's not. It's not about the schedule. It's about your players being fit. It's catching teams out of form. It's catching teams that are not playing well, have got injuries. That's when you want to play them. And this is the perfect time to be playing Liverpool. And if it was the other way around, I would be looking at a 4 or 5-0 win at home if we were playing Arsenal and it was the other way around. That's the way you got to treat these games. It's ruthless. And that's how you got to be. There's no point being emotional, and there's no point being, oh well, this isn't, or this is football. This is what a fan, this is what a manager is praying for when they see a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a Man United or a Man City. This is what you're hoping for, that they have a few injury suspensions and they are not playing well, and they're on the last 3 defeats. That's the kind of form you want going into this game. That helps you, and then you can deal with it. Or any another, and if it's like for like, and we've got our strongest 11, then it'll be a very good game to watch. But this could be behind the couch, I think.
Well, on our next stream, which will be early next week, we will reflect on what's happened in the Arsenal game, good or bad. We will also reflect on the FA Cup journey starting for Liverpool FC. They'll be playing Barnsley next Monday night. And hopefully the Reds can get through that one and start a run in the FA Cup, because that would be nice as well to do a good one in that as well. So we will cover both them games obviously next time we're on air. But that's it for this week. I want to thank Kev for coming on and sharing his thoughts about the current goings on at Liverpool FC. Thank you very much for watching the LFC Total Red Football Podcast with myself, Kings. As I say, we'll be back next week, and we can hopefully talk about some points and a good win against Barnsley.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time for more LFC Total Red Football Podcast.